It was a busy day at an elegant restaurant known for serving only the wealthiest clients. The restaurant sparkled with golden chandeliers, luxurious decor, and an exclusive menu that only a handful of people could afford. The staff took great pride in serving their high-profile guests, but they also had a habit of judging customers based on their appearance. A young waiter, new to the job, believed that how a person dressed determined how much respect they deserved. He was busy attending to wealthy clients when a man entered the restaurant wearing a simple shirt and jeans. There was nothing fancy about him. No designer suit, no flashy watch, no luxurious car parked outside. The waiter immediately frowned, thinking, "What's he doing here? He looks so out of place. This restaurant is for people who can actually afford it." As the man calmly walked to a table and sat down, the waiter approached him with an indifferent attitude. When the man politely asked for the menu, the waiter smirked and said, "Sir, the food here is very expensive. Are you sure you can afford it? Maybe you should check out the diner down the street." The man didn't seem offended. Instead, he smiled and replied, "I'd still like to see the menu, please." Annoyed, the waiter handed over the menu and walked away, shaking his head. "What a waste of my time," he muttered to himself. After a few minutes, the man called the waiter again to place his order. He chose one of the most exclusive and expensive dishes on the menu. The waiter raised an eyebrow and said, "Sir, that dish is reserved for our special members. Are you absolutely sure you want to order it? It's quite pricey." The man simply nodded and said, "Yes, I'll wait for my food." The waiter rolled his eyes and walked back to the kitchen, thinking, "This guy's going to embarrass himself when he can't pay the bill." Meanwhile, the restaurant manager was chatting with a high-profile client when he noticed the man sitting at the corner table. Something about him seemed familiar. The manager excused himself and walked over to the kitchen to find the waiter. "Who's serving the gentleman at table 7?" the manager asked. The waiter, clueless, replied, "Oh, don't worry, sir. He's just some random guy who probably can't afford the food here. I'm handling him." The manager stared at the waiter in shock and said, "Do you have any idea who that man is?" The waiter shrugged. "No. Who is he?" The manager leaned in and whispered, "That's Bill Gates, one of the richest men in the world. And by the way, this restaurant is partially owned by him." The waiter froze. His face turned pale, and his hands began to tremble. He couldn't believe it. The man he had been insulting and looking down on was none other than Bill Gates, the billionaire philanthropist. Panicking, the waiter rushed to Bill Gates's table. "Sir, I am so sorry for my behavior. I didn't know who you were. Please forgive me for being rude." Bill Gates looked up at him with a calm and kind expression. "It's okay," he said. "But let me give you a piece of advice. Never judge anyone by their appearance. Everyone has a story you don't know about." The waiter nodded, feeling deeply ashamed. But the story didn't end there. The manager approached Bill Gates and asked, "Sir, would you like us to fire the waiter for his behavior?" Bill Gates immediately shook his head. "No," he said. "Everyone makes mistakes. What matters is whether they learn from them. Let this be a lesson for him." After finishing his meal, Bill Gates quietly left the restaurant. But before leaving, he wrote a handwritten note and placed it on the table along with a generous tip. When the waiter returned to clean the table, he found the note. It read, "True wealth isn't in what you wear or own. It's in how you treat others. Always remember that." The waiter stood there, staring at the note with tears in his eyes. He realized how wrong he had been to judge someone based on their looks. From that day on, he promised himself never to repeat that mistake. This story teaches us an important lesson. Never judge a person by their appearance. True value lies in a person's character, not in their clothing or possessions. What do you think of Bill Gates' humility and the lesson this story teaches? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more inspiring and surprising tales, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. And stay tuned for our next video where we'll reveal another incredible story about a billionaire's act of kindness that will leave you speechless. Subscribe now so you don't miss it.